what people see on the outside isn't always what's being held in our hearts, and we can begin walking down the wrong path. But as a man, we should be vulnerable enough to seek help while still maintaining our manhood.
It's nothing to it but to do it. Coming up this Monday at 7 p.m. Can I count on you to be there?
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Man Cave here at Mount Calvary Missionary Baptist Church. Today I'm going to be a facilitator. My name is Brother Chuck Baker, and we are going to be talking to some fine gentlemen today. You guys could please introduce yourselves.
My name is Arthur B. Williams III. Glad to meet you, Chuck.
Yes, sir.
Craig Johnson.
I'm Nate Winston.
All right, all right. Two of you have really good haircuts. The other one we won't talk about his haircut.
My hair grow on the inside.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I want to jump right into the discussion today, fellas. We're going to be talking about this phrase, "come as you are."
Mm-hmm.
Come as you are. Specifically with regard to the church, this church life, and what we're doing. When you hear that phrase, "come as you are," somebody take the tape. What you got?
As you are is concerning church life for me began before church
Okay.
because
My experience,
was the deaths of my parents. My dad died at 8. My mother drank her.
herself the next year, and that began of resentment. Church people only said, well, God knows best. He knew better for your mom and dad. But that had nothing to do with the lonesomeness that I had in my heart, my soul, my spirit, because as a 9-year-old, going to school and having my grandparents being the stand-in parents, and their rules were nothing like my parents' rules. Their upbringing was nothing towards them, towards God, towards everybody that said, "Oh, you poor guy," right? And I hate that word even to today, right? Because my whole life ended up being one of mystery and unknown. If somebody was to say, well, what are you going to do in 5 years? I couldn't tell you because I can only live a day at a time being resentful at everything. Right? So for me, I had a Christian experience or a God experience when I was 14, where God spoke pre-church. I grew up in Catholicism.
Okay.
God told me in my heart that he was going to be my mother and father. But I was so mad at him that I smoked a joint and said, well, if you going to be my mom and dad, put this out. Years he didn't.
Wow.
Right?
Did
He did not.
not. Yeah. Okay.
Right? And my life spiraled into a ministry of being with all of the rejects from church, the rejects, the street kids, the thugs, the pimps, the prostitutes, the all of the wayward people who church has always rejected. And as I developed a relationship with them that allowed me to today sit on the curb with a wine head. There ain't too many wine heads anymore. They all smoking crack. But to have a relationship with them who the church kind of rejects.
Okay. I'm gonna press a pin. Thank you for sharing that. I like what we're talking about already. We're talking about rejection from the church. Come as you are. Give me your first step at it. Come as you are.
I think it's deceptive,
Okay.
and I think it's
agree.
relative too.
Okay.
Depends on the name outside of the church. To me, growing up, I grew up in the Baptist church, Calvary Baptist Church, in Toledo, and as long as we visited other Baptist churches, it seemed like everybody did church the same. You know, then I go to college, become a music major, learning European music, and I'm singing at the Catholic Church, a Presbyterian church, Episcopal church, black, white, different churches, and they're totally different than what I came from. And their norms are not my norms. So if I, coming into those environments the way I am would not have been appropriate. If they would have shown up to our church, they would have had to adjust to us too. I'm talking about other cultures,
Yeah.
other practices, when to stand, when to sit, all that other stuff. The norms get in the way, because even if you come as you are, you still are supposed to do as we do, as quick as you can figure it out.
All right.
Because even back then we had bulletins that kind of
I
guide
like
us.
this, right? So you started off with some life experience sort of stuff. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
talking
I
about
was I was
culture.
a lifer.
All right.
Church, yeah, so, yeah.
So, what you got, brother Nate?
I kind of just think, like, I get what you're saying, but I feel like coming as you are is just like, it's not about what you're doing when you're in the church. That's just to me. Like, it's not about like whether or not you're assimilating, like doing what they're doing. To me, it's like you do what other people are doing in their spaces because that's just out of respect, period. So I think the coming as you are is like, can you come and be in this space, but can you bring like what you have to offer, like the real you, like who you are outside of these church walls, like can you bring that in here? Like, well, you can bring that in here. So I don't think that it's like, I think it's less about the time that you're spending in here. It's about like, are you being you? Authentically in here, like in here. Yeah.
I love it. So, all right, so we got authenticity, church culture, and life, I guess, just life lessons, really. Brother Williams, you were talking about life lessons, kind of getting you prepared.
Right. So, coming as you are, how many of us, and I'll keep it in the I came as I was from Catholicism. When I met my first wife, I was in full-blown escape from my grandparents, from the reality of my brother, who was a scientist for Procter and Gamble, my sister, who was a school teacher, renowned, my younger brother, 4 years younger than me, who was sheltered, and I became the black sheep of my family. And for me, I came as I am before God, raw, right? I don't like you. I don't want to have anything to do with you because look at what you did to my life. You caused my life to be a wreck. And so why would I love and adore somebody who's caused chaos in my personal life? Not my brothers. They had their parents until they had finished college and were building their careers. My younger brother was sheltered, right? I'm my dad's only child.
Okay.
And I'm selfish and self-centered because being an only child, it was always about me, right? But that coming as you are meant for me being only real to myself because nobody ever took the time to say, look, young man, the things that happened to you right, were things that happen in life. I never had any therapy, never
I wanna
had any.
link what you're saying with this idea of authenticity. So, in your experience, I don't like God. I'm paraphrasing.
Correct.
Paraphrasing.
Correct.
I don't like God. And that's authentically me. But I'm here. All right, so talk to me a little bit about where you were coming from that authentic. But how would that go in a church community?
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like if you don't like God and you're here, then you obviously are looking for something.
Okay.
I think like whether it's like to be proven wrong or you want to prove your point right, like I think it's just like the people of that congregation's job to just like greet you with open arms and just like we understand why you're here, like, or we don't even have to understand why you're here. It's not even about, like, that's really the more important part. It doesn't matter why you're here or like what your story is. Like we're just supposed to greet you like you're our brother or sister.
But see,
Has that been your experience, Brother Craig? You grew up in church culture, right? Has that been the experience that when someone shows up and their storyline doesn't fit the storyline of the people in the church, that it's just like, we don't really care if we understand or not. We're just going to go ahead and open take you with open arms. Was that your storyline?
It depends, because I've been in a lot of different environments.
Okay.
It's been a mix of both. It depends on the kind of environment you're in. Ironically, the larger churches, I've experienced more. There's so much more welcome wagon in these big mega Atlanta type situations, and they have things in place to make sure you feel that way. And sometimes it's the smaller churches that are there are more walls.
Okay.
So it's a mixed bag.
Okay.
Yeah, for me.
but so here's the mystery of God and coming as you are. For me, my experiences were, I told you, God had told me that he was going to be my mother and my father. So I'm walking down the railroad tracks in Cincinnati, Ohio, and there was a white guy that sniped, shot bullets, bam. I got hit in my left leg. I went down. My body was in shock. The other kids ran, bullets hit in front of me and on the side of me on the railroad ties, right? By the time I realized that everybody had scattered, and when the feeling did come back, I was able to get up and go with the other kids until my toes felt squishy. Then another experience was how I had got into some situations where at a crap house, I could have been killed. The guy had a knife to my neck. And the only thing that saved me was that resounding voice from God saying, I got you. And nothing ever happened. I was through the 68 riots. The teenagers threw us in the stores and told us, grab the cigarettes and the meat, right? And we didn't get anything out of it because the older kids all took it, right? But God had kept me safe from hurt, harm, and danger in every situation from the time that I said, I don't like you, I don't want to have anything to do with you, through adversity after bullets and drugs and alcohol and promiscuous activities, right, for 38 years. I'll say that I'm a recovering alcoholic. I got sober in 1995. Haven't had a drink or a drug since October the 2nd. And from then to now, I've been a United States sailor, fourth highest medal that they award, the Bronze Star, a corrections officer in the most dangerous state penitentiary in Ohio, Lebanon Correctional Institution, right? I have my second wife who I love and adore, who has nurtured my spirit in a way that has brought me full circle, right? And all of that to say that God is who he says he's going to be when you just come as you are, right? And his light lights up when he wants it to be lit, and not until before then, right? I've seen so many people who, through their Christian experience, seems almost fake, almost unrealistic, in that you have to be pretentious in what you wear and what your status is in the community, where mine is just raw. I can come as I am in my blue jeans and gym
I think
shoes.
this is what you were getting at. That idea of authenticity.
Yeah, I just think everyone's Christian experience is different. So, yeah, like it's great that like if you want to wear a veil and be a nun, like that's awesome, but that's for you. Like that's not for everybody. So just
Right.
yeah.
I love it, man. Thanks for sharing that. That is cool. However we feel about God doesn't scare him, right? It doesn't put him on high alert. If you tell God, I don't like you and I don't like what you're doing with my
Right,
wife,
right.
it doesn't change how he feels about you. It doesn't change him loving you. It doesn't change anything from God's perspective. And that's why I'm appreciative of that agape love.
But Brother Chuck,
Yeah.
you know, I can tell you my philosophy on the reason why. It's because when we're born, God wrote our story from our death to our birth, not from our birth, and then we experience all of these things to our death. So when you're born, your death date is already stamped. It's signed, sealed, and delivered. And as you grow towards that ending that's already been written,
Yeah.
right? You know, and so being a lonesome person, being a loner, I found that out through my personal experience. And that's how I came as I am.
But Craig, take it over. He's already preaching with us. I love this.
I love the concept.
Yeah.
I do.
Uh-oh.
I believe that the first touch for a visitor when they first come to any house of worship, people should be mindful of they should be concerned about the person that's never been there before,
Yeah. Okay. All right.
and just how that person is treated. You know, if that person is greeted when they first come in, if you know, if they feel welcome, or just all that stuff should be a mindset. So I do like the concept. I do believe that it has good intent. You know, because there has to be some encouraging. You don't want to be the type of person that just waits. You don't want to wait until you're ready. You know, there's so many people that only go to church on Mother's Day or on Christmas or this past Easter, right? Right, but a lot of them they have that mentality about going to church. You know, I'm not ready. I'm not. So it's a good concept that come as you are does exist. It's just really how well is it practiced, and that can be from house to house.
Absolutely.
Is that in the Bible? Come as you are. What's the scripture?
Yeah.
Come unto me, all ye that labor, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me. Yeah.
But come as you are is the question, though. Is that in
But
Is that in
it is because the whorish woman, right?
Okay.
That was a hoe, and she was doing all of these other things with all of the men. Jesus said, "Hey, which one of y'all can throw the first stone?" Right? You know, he accepted her as she was because he knew her from her birth to where she was going to be, not from where she is now. The way that people look at people today. How many of us drive by the little dusty looking guy on the street, right? And not see the spirit of the person that person carries. That's what I was saying about being able to sit down and fellowship with a guy who wants to smoke a joint or drink a wine and talk about the Most High, right? Because the Most High, each one of us has two individuals in us. We have our spiritual man,
Okay.
who doesn't catch a cold, who doesn't get COVID, who doesn't get sick, tired. And then you got that human person that gets COVID, that catches a cold, that feels lazy, that feels tired, but that spirit man inside you never feels that. And even when you're at your sickest, your spirit man is like, get up and let's go do something. You're like, oh, I'm too sick. Right? And that's been my experience with who I am, being a spiritual man and a human man, right? And that spirit is what Jesus left us to guide us, to control us, to allow us to come as we are, right? Because unless you walk the journey, you'll never have, you can't have a testimony without a test,
Test. Okay. I've heard that before.
right?
Brother Nate, come as you are. Scripture.
I don't know.
Ain't no scripture.
Yeah.
There's no scripture that actually says come as you are.
Right.
Ain't no scripture.
I just, yeah. I don't think it has to be. I don't think it has to be though. Like,
Come on, talk
I don't think there has to be. I think it really is just like, if we're trying to do our jobs as Christians, like that's just kind of a precedent that that some bodies have set, because you do want to. Our job is to minister to more people, and like get more people, and we're also not like we cannot judge others. Like that's just not
Okay.
our job.
All right.
So we're not just supposed to bring in and like convert people who we think like, oh, okay, they're already living their life. In fact, like it's like I feel like it's all souls are like every soul is a good soul to save, but I feel like some people are gonna need it more than others, and it most likely is gonna be that person that is not like that might not be exactly who you envision in your church, but like.
Feel it.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
don't
you were going to, I was like, oh, he's about to say it. So, yeah, when Jesus came, he said, I came for the sinners.
Right, not the saints. What good is a saint, right?
I came
Who
for the,
don't
I
have
came
no
for the dirty
faults.
people. He hung out with the, what do you say, the pimps and the prostitutes and the hoes and all this.
Right.
That's who he hung with. And I always loved the fact that when I read that, I said, yo, Jesus used to hang out with these people because these were people who were authentic.
Mm-hmm.
He hung out with people who were like him. It's like, what do you
Oh.
mean like him?
And then Pastor talked about yesterday, I forget who it was, but he basically, he was saying like, he's been with just everybody. Like he hung out with the Jews, like he can't, like, yeah. Who is it? I don't know.
He was preaching on that yesterday.
Yeah.
He said,
The different
he said to-
disciples.
It's
he
one
said
of the
to
disciples.
To the Jews, I became Jewish, so
Yeah.
I made one with them.
Right. And so I feel like
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
that like is what you need to do. Like you need to meet people where they are, really, if you want to like have an impact on them.
Yeah.
I think that's the
Well,
easiest way to.
Because that's what we do in the schools.
Yeah.
If I taught at his high school, us educators have to be able to. There cannot be a student unless there's special needs that are at a high level. We're supposed to. We're trained to be able to. Our goal is to meet everybody where they are. But say if we took Nate to and did a social experiment and had him dressed as a homeless man, had him reeking in weed smell, and or he just smelled foul, or he carried himself a certain way and he was covered and just looked homeless and unkept. I would just love to see with these cameras, how would he be, how ready are we in the church to really meet somebody that just really does come
Yeah, as they are.
as they are, like they just walked from out there.
I think that's we're all hitting on different sides of the same.
Like I would love to see that.
I
Like
would love that.
to
Somebody who has this feeling toward God, or somebody who's they're truly their authentic selves, and their authentic selves smell like weed, and they live on the streets, and this is what you get.
and they come and sit right next to
They
you,
come sit.
or they want to sit in the front
Let's put
where
them
the
in
deacons
front.
sit.
Yeah, let's put them right. Let's put them there, right? All things in order. I get that, right? There's a protocol, if you will, right? You don't. The person that doesn't have a driver's license doesn't get to sit in the driver's seat. I get that, right? But he can get in the car. He's allowed to get in the car.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
but Chuck, I've never seen a church person hang out at the trap house. I ain't never seen none of the church going folk come to the trap house, and you would not believe I'm a recovering alcoholic and addict. And so many of us would be sitting there smoking, saying, man, I wish God would just change my life, right? You know, and you see some woman who's been abused over and over and over again, who has children that are abandoned, that the state has taken over, right? And her only refuge is to get high over and over again to mask the pain of lonesomeness. Here are a bunch of people who are truly lonesome, that Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, they don't hang out there. They can't fathom the idea of sitting there and letting an individual smoke or drink and confess themselves the agony and pain of lonesomeness, of darkness, and how can I come as I am because you're not going to accept me because I'm caught up right now. But I love the Lord and I don't want to die, but I'm trapped.
I think there's some reasons behind that. You know, sometimes people are delivered out of things and they can't go around those things no more. Just can't, right? If you know, people maybe who were delivered from crack, well, they don't want to associate with that anymore. Maybe there's some hesitation around being around it again. So I might get it from that perspective. From a different perspective, though, I think there are people who have been delivered from those sorts of things, and because they were delivered from those sorts of things, they are the prime preacher, if you will, in that sort of space, because you have credibility with the people you was just smoking with last week.
If you are delivered,
Yeah, if you're delivered.
if you're delivered,
Yeah.
I don't have a fear of going down to Budweiser out at Kroger's.
I feel that.
When I go to the car wash and the brother's in the stall next to me smoking a pound of weed that's loud and awful, right, doesn't offend me anymore. I just get in my car and go to a different car wash, right? But I can still sit and communicate with those people when people walk around and they are drunk or high. I still speak to them, right? Because they are my people. We are one in God, right? And when we show ourselves as Christians or as somebody that's been delivered, and I now look at you or you as though, well, you don't understand my plight, instead of you and him and me looking at that person as, you need a sandwich? You want to come and just hang out for a minute? Just have a break. So many drug addicts and alcoholics just want a break, you know, just a time out. But I don't see the church doing that.
I think it's there. It's definitely there. I've seen it, but I think there could be more. I think there's always one that seems to be kind of just swirling in my mind a lot. Turned 49 this year, and my wife and I were talking a lot about love. Talking about love. And I was thinking about this. I was thinking, how does love kind of fit with this idea of coming as you are? Where does that fit?
The willingness to accept.
What do you mean? Tell me more.
I think the least love you have in you, the more easy it is for you to be judgmental, especially from what you assume from who you're looking at. You know, you look at that whole Trayvon situation. They were just based on a black boy in a hoodie in a neighborhood he wasn't supposed to be in, the hate that I already have towards you and your kind, I'm not willing to accept you out here. You know what I'm saying? I think the more there is a sense of love or compassion, the more willing you are to embrace even someone that's different from you.
Yeah. Nate, you shook your head when he said that. You
Oh, did I?
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, I mean,
I caught it, but go ahead. Love, this idea of love and coming as you are.
I mean, I think that if we realize that we're like not above anybody, like at the end of the day, God loves us all, and like none of us are above each other, no matter how locked in with God we are. And like we're all humans and we all are sinners. So it's just like because God loves this person, it's my job to love them too. And yeah, I don't know.
I like it. I started, I don't want to get too far out the box here, but I'm doing this comparative religious studies class. And one of the things that was shared was, one of the learnings that I was reading was, a person is not allowed to see God. Either they cannot see or not allowed to see. I'm not real sure however they were explaining it. But you cannot see God or not allowed to see God until you can see yourself in other people. Now, our scriptures say, how do you say you love God that you don't see when you don't love the brother that you see every day, right? There's a scripture that kind of talks about it that way. But I liked the way that it was kind of explained that you cannot see God until you can see yourself in others. I think that speaks to the love and the compassion that you're saying that we're lacking.
I'm tracking.
As a Christian family, a lot of times, I see you, and I already have these preconceived ideas, like what you were talking about. Oh, he smells like this. He looks like this. He must be a whoa. Who are you?
But look at
Start
this.
making those assumptions.
So what I've learned
Yes, sir.
is that when you were just mentioning looking at other people and seeing the God in other people, from my lonesomeness and my darkness, I had to see me in the mirror. A guy told me, he said, man, when is the last time that you kissed yourself? I was like, what?
Oh, wow.
Right? And when I went to a mirror and I kissed myself, and I said, Arthur, I love you. Man, my heart changed at that moment. That was the first agape love that I had ever experienced when I told me that I love me, right? We get love from our girlfriends, from our buddies, from this one and that one. But when I looked at me in the eye and told me how much I love me, then I got 100%. Until then, I was only 50-50.
Oh, wow. Thanks for sharing that. That is, self-love is important. I think you had a little bit of a revelation there. I don't want to speak too much on what you were sharing, but when you can see yourself, and I'll say it like I feel it, as God sees you, I think you have a different appreciation for what you're looking at.
Exactly.
And yeah, it definitely should start with you, but I think it's even that much more powerful when you can see that in other people.
Right, because we look for
Yeah,
love
yeah.
in all the wrong
Wrong
places, right? We look for it over here, over there,
All the wrong
and it begins with me.
Yeah.
I mean, until your wife loves herself 100%, and you love yourself 100%, it's a portion missing, and it causes that like a tire with a chunk out of it. It goes, thump, thump. But once you get your love, now you can share it with your children, with your wife, with your pets, with even, I don't even want to see a squirrel get hit by a car. I'll be like, move, little squirrel, move, don't get hit. Right, you know? But it started with the love of myself, coming as I am, right? I never saw myself as a handsome guy, right? You know, like the pretty guys in school that, you know, had the A's and B's, wavy hair and stuff. I'm like, man, my lips is too
I used to have
big.
A's and B's and wavy hair now. Just not so much
Right.
anymore. Yeah. Not so much anymore.
Right. I mean, and that's the transition. And, you know, when we die, the only thing that the tombstone has is born this day and dead that day. All of the other stuff in between is just a dash.
It's a dash. What'd you do with that dash? What'd you do
And it
with
don't
that
matter,
dash?
right? Because Jesus said that on this day you're going to be with me in paradise, right? Regardless of what you did in this life, because none of us, you know, I wonder how many people even know that there are more than 10 commandments.
Oh, wow. Wow.
There's like 108 commandments that God himself gave us.
You're talking about just
And,
about the Bible.
and I mean, when you look at Leviticus,
I got you. Yeah,
right,
right.
you know,
Yeah.
there's like 108 laws that God wanted us to obey that only Jesus could fulfill, right, because of our guidance from outside sources.
I got you. Yeah.
Right, you know,
The
so-
biggest one is love. That's the biggest one. You don't do anything else, do that. Love your brother. The rest of them will be fulfilled in that one law, right? We're going to be wrapping up here in a little bit. So we talked a little bit about love, talked about come as you are, we talked about life experiences, we talked about church culture, we talked about authenticity. Brother Nate, we're going to start with you going this way. We have open a church right now today. You are the pastor.
I wouldn't be.
Really? You wouldn't?
He said,
I do not accept.
It seemed like that would be your destiny.
You're the,
Oh, wow.
you're the operations manager, whatever.
CEO.
CEO, that's right. And we have to have this idea of letting people come as they are. What does that mean at your church?
Like, I just want it to mean exactly what it sounds like.
Okay,
Like, just, yeah.
cool. I like it. Brother Craig, same question.
What would it mean to
Your
me?
church, you the pastor, operations manager, operations CEO, pastor, I don't know, figure out the title. But it's your job to make sure this idea, this concept of come as you are, is up front and center to people that are visiting your church. What does that mean?
Immediate acceptance, and I don't know if it would be through how people. It could be through the visuals. It could be strategic planning and the kind of people that reach out and greet you when you come.
Okay.
Yeah, it would. I would find some intentional ways to make a person feel
Okay.
welcome before service would even start.
Got it. Same question.
If I were the pastor of a church and I wanted people to come as they are, it wouldn't be organized. I wouldn't preach from a pulpit. I wouldn't stand above the people, but down at their same level. Because if you're going to come as you are, you got to meet people at their lowest level, because we don't know the secrets that a person has within them. All of us got some dark secrets that we did that we ain't never told Jesus, but we know what we did, right? And so coming as you are, if I was the CEO of a church, the pastor, right, it would be to come all y'all, right? You know, just roll in, and if you like the choir member to play an upbeat and not no Christian music, come on with it. Come on with it, that music, man, hit that beat, right?
I'm sure he's got all that covered. So good.
He's done it. I seen him.
Yeah.
I seen him.
Oh,
He
yeah.
had my
Yeah, he
head
did
bobbing. What
yesterday. He did yesterday. So yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think part of it is like, as the church, we have to like change our like our expectations of like what people are coming to get out of it. Like, I think that we need to be willing to like let people get what they need out of it. Like, not just like, oh, I'm about to shout now. Like really, it doesn't always have to be like that. Message doesn't have to be like what gets them in touch with the Spirit. But maybe
Exactly.
that's the message
Agree.
that like they're like, okay, like let me come. Maybe it's like, oh, I disagree with this message, like, but they're still hearing it, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
like maybe it's just something that they need to like get them intrigued, like, okay, like even if they're just coming to like study something for school, like it just doesn't matter why they're here, because I think if we like are more willing to just let people just be here, I think that will like really
Man,
help.
I like that, brother. Too bad you're not gonna open a church or be a pastor.
I
That's what
can't.
you said.
I can't say it has. It has progressed a lot, though.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In my childhood, church was not come as you are. I mean, even if you see footage, if you look back at the historical footage of like Martin Luther King and all them, they're pretty much all dressed the same, and they're
Right.
all pretty much well dressed.
Yep.
And you know, you didn't see a preacher in the pulpit without a tie,
Yeah.
without a coat. So I think that it has relaxed a lot more, and it's not as segregated.
Yeah. Yeah. I
You know, I do feel like it's more growth. I think come as you are back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, it was a lot more restrictive.
Yeah.
The older people are resistant to change, right? You know, they don't want to have a hip hop choir, right? Because they're used to a Billy Graham choir or
Yeah.
that cathedral choir and the church rocking with robes on,
Yeah.
right? You know, and not a Kurt Franklin.
Yeah.
You could just smile, right? You know, they'd be like, "Hey, hold on, that's not Christian like." But if that what motivates my spirit, then come, let's bounce to it. Let me get my. I never had that run around the church thing, but my happy moment is when the choir director is leading a song and I feel my heart race, right? And I'm sitting there like, yeah, right. That to me is that spirituality, that come as you are moment, right? And not so much as a show.
I was just gonna say, I just think also like, the young people complain a lot, but they don't always. I mean, I'm one of them. Like, what are we doing to actually like we can say that the older people are like resistant, and maybe they are, but like, are we like just saying stop doing what you're doing, or are we actually offering like what we want to do, or maybe we're gonna have to like actually take to get into these ministries and like how are you gonna influence in ministry that you're not even in? You know what I mean? So like it's just
That's true.
I feel like you're not about to hear me complaining about stuff because I'm not in anything. So but like yeah, like if you really want something to change, you're gonna have to take initiative for real. Like that's just what it comes down
Be
to.
the change
for
you
real.
want to see.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Listen, gentlemen, thanks for sharing today. I heard a lot today. I appreciate every bit of everything that each one of you shared. I believe it was totally authentic from each one of you. And I'm just appreciative to have shared this time and this space with you. This was
It's a pleasure getting to.
This was super cool. This was super cool. I'll answer the question that I asked you guys. If I'm going to be the CEO, director, church, this sort of stuff, I think the Come As You Are piece for me is a recognition that we are all made in His image, all of us. Now, whether or not you recognize what the image is when you see it, well, that's a different story, and that's for something you figure out on your own. But it shouldn't change how I treat you, how I love you, how I love on you, how I respect you, even down to the score, like how that's respect you were talking about,
Yeah.
right? How I respect you and whatnot. So I respect all three of you gentlemen again. Thanks for sharing so much.
Thanks, Chuck.
Yeah. This was Man Cave today. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Come as you are. If you have some other things that you wanted to kind of add to the conversation, please feel free. Pop it in the comments. We're always looking and we're always learning because this is evergreen. It's going to last forever and ever, right? Again, Man Cave Missionary Baptist, Mount Calvary Missionary Baptist Church. Join us for the next episode. Until then, we will be seeing you guys soon.
Peace.
Good, guys. Yeah.